when you look in your book in section 1.4, they're asking you to compare these two, right?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so they just want you to estimate how much is in each. So why did you estimate how much was in this first recipe, garam masala? How did you do it? Can you tell everybody?
What I did is I just added up the whole numbers first. So
Oh.
6 plus 2 plus 2 is 10.
10.
And then 2/3 plus 1/3 is 1.
1.
11. And then 2/3, and then, or actually 1/2 plus 1/2 is another 1, so it's around 12. And then the 3/4 and 2/4 is more than 1.
More than 1.
That's just 13.
Add 2 and you get 13. That's a great way to estimate, right? He can talk it through, but he's not doing parts. He's just kind of getting close. Okay? And I think this other one turns out to be about 11. But I don't remember. So if we did his method here, we'd say 1, 2, and 2 make 5, plus 4 is 9. Right? Well, we're on A2. This is A2. Okay, so we have 9 holes. And then, like, what could you say about 5/8 and 5/8? Yeah.
So about 1 and 2.
A little more than 1.
1 and 3/8.
So we just want to say about, because we're just doing estimates. Could we say a little more than 1? Yeah. So we'd say a little more than 1 there, right? So we could do like 1 and whatever. We'll just call it a little more than 1. We just got to say about 1. Okay? And that sort of takes care of this whole 5/8 and that whole 5/8 together, right? So we've taken care of all the things I've crossed out. So 9, 10, and then we have a 1/2, an 1/8, and a 1/4. So we're going to just call it another 1. You get that? It's just a little bit more, it's like a little less than 1. A 1/2, an 1/8, and a 1/4.
How much is 1/8? Like 1.1.
It is, but we're just estimating, right? So we're just getting an estimate. So the difference is that we know from our estimate, garam masala has more. It has about 2 ounces more, and then we move on. You get that, you guys? We're just doing an estimate. Okay? So when you read B1, let's go ahead and read B1. It says Betsy buys spices for her famous cake. Allie, do you have a question?
Oh, no.
You gonna read for me?
No, I was gonna do the comment.
Well, let's go through it, because not everybody's maybe got that far because they were stuck on the estimating. So, Betsy buys spices for her famous cake. Alright. And that means you're gonna have to look at the recipe that says Betsy's cake, right? And it says, how many ounces of spice does Betsy buy? Okay, so what do I have to do with those amounts in Betsy's recipe, which is down here? What am I going to do with all of these amounts, Allie?
You're going to add them together.
Okay, I'm going to add. Do you guys see that? Okay, so when I add them, Jasmine, if I add all those fractions or numbers, there's 5 numbers there, right? There they are. That's the amount. What do you have to do when you add the fractions? How would you start it? B2, B1. So this is Betsy's recipe, right? So we're trying to figure out how much. What's something you could do first? No. Like if you were just going to do an estimate, what would you have done? What parts would you do first? Like what's the easiest thing to do? Add what though? What would you add first? The holes, right? So that would be A good idea, and then you do have to work with the denominators, but we're gonna just add the wholes. Okay, so if I add the wholes, I have 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4. So I'm gonna circle them so I know I've taken care of them. It equals what, Peter? Right, so I've taken care of the wholes. So Jen, what else could I do? What are some other things I could do that?
For like the
Keep going, like,
okay, so for the denominators, for the fractions, we have to find so they can all go into 8.
okay, we could do eighths, we could change everything to eighths. That's one strategy, that would be good.
That means that you don't have to change. You only have to change 2 of them.
Okay, so like you guys, do you see what she's saying? Like this is already an eighth. So, but we have to change this to an eighth, to eighths. So we're gonna multiply by 4s, so we get 4 eighths instead. Does that make sense? So we're gonna add 9, and we're gonna bring this 1/8 down. That's already an eighth. Now we're gonna bring this half down. We're gonna write it as 4 eighths, right? Then we're gonna bring the 5 eighths down, and the other 5 eighths, and then the 4.
I don't know how to convert 4 to an 8, but 1 plus 2 and 8.
What do you do?
Oh my gosh.
What is it, Sebi?
2 8.
2 eighths. Okay, raise your hand if that makes sense. Okay, so add the numerators. Okay, so we have 9 wholes, and then we have some eighths here. So 1 plus 4 is 5,
15, 17.
so 17 eighths. So how many times does 8 go into 17? 2 wholes, right? What's the remainder? 1 eighth. So Catherine, what's your final answer? 11 and an eighth. Okay. Raise your hand if that makes sense. So in summary, Casey, to add fractions, what do you have to do? You need a common denominator. And also an easy thing to do is add the wholes up first. Okay? So when we look at B2, Haley, can you read B2 to me?
Is it 7? Even is allergic to cinnamon. Betty removed cinnamon from the recipe for him. How many ounces of spices does he need?
Okay, so Betsy, instead of doing this whole recipe, what does she have to do, Sebi?
Could I say the answer because I think I know what it is.
Well, tell me what you got for your answer.
So I just did it quickly. I don't think it's right though. So since
When we look at the recipe.
has 4, so we take out 4 from 11. I think that's
Okay, so you guys see what's going on? There's 4, what he's talking about? There's 4 1/4 ounces of cinnamon there. And this boy can't have cinnamon, so she's going to make the spice without cinnamon, so he's not going to have an allergic reaction. So you're going to do what Sebi said, and it sounds like you estimated. Oops, wrong bus. Okay, it sounds like you estimated. Sorry about that. So what did you do, Sebi? What did you start with?
I minus 4 from 11, which is 7.
Okay, you started with the 11 and an eighth, and you subtracted the 4 and a fourth. And you subtracted the 4 wholes from 11 and an eighth first?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to talk about different ways to do things. So that's okay. You can do this. If you subtract 4 from 11 and an eighth, that gives you 7 and an eighth, right? Well, wait a minute. But you didn't finish all the things you need to take out. What else do you need to do, Wyatt?
We need to take out the 2 eighths from the 1 eighth.
You need to take out another fourth, right? If I did your method, Sebi, take the whole away, that's good. You could do that method. But you still have a fourth more to take away.
Or it could be 1/16.
No. So, before we go on, do you understand so far?
Yeah.
Does everybody understand? He's trying to make it so you can't So when you take a fourth from 7 and an eighth, so we're going to do this today without borrowing. I know some of you have learned borrowing, some of you haven't learned borrowing, and some of you have learned it and don't remember it. So we're going to work on borrowing, but right now we're going to just kind of work on just common sense. If this is 7 and I'm dividing my number line into eighths, can you agree that this would be 7 and an eighth? Right here? So if I'm going to take a fourth away, isn't a fourth bigger than an eighth?
Yes.
Yeah. So what's it gonna, you're holding up 2 fingers, Carson, what are you showing? What do you want to tell the class?
2.
A fourth is 2 eighths, right?
Oh.
So I'm going to do 7 and an eighth, and I'm going to take away 2 eighths. So I have to go down an eighth and then another eighth, right? So it would be,
it's the whole answer would be 7, third be 6 and 7.
6 and 7 eighths. Do you see that? Does that make sense? So if you're taking more eighths away here than you have there, this number's, you're going to drop down to the number below, the whole number below. Does that make sense? Do you understand that? Okay. So let's go to B3. Or is it C?
It's C.
Okay. So Miss Garza in part C, it says, for part C, that she buys spices to make 1 batch of garam masala. When she weighs her spices at home, she only has 10 and 11/12 ounces of spice. And the question is, which spice did Miss Garza forget? So what's going on in the problem before we jump to the answer? Tell me, does anybody remember how much was in that spice to begin with? Kaden, do you know? What was the total we got for, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, for this spice?
Garam masala. I know you got the masala.
Yeah.
Look on your, are you writing these examples down, you guys? What was the value we just got when we totaled up all the spices for that? 11 and 1/8. Okay, and she only has 10 and 11/12.
Wait. I thought 11 and 1/8 went to.
Oh, you're right.
11 and 2/8.
We haven't figured out garam masala, have I?
It's 13. Yeah, we like.
Well, we estimated it, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing I would have to do is figure out the total here. So how am I going to do that, Brandon? The actual weight. Pardon me? Add them together, right? And if I add them together, I've got, I think I need a new page there. Can you read them to me to add them together?
Yes.
So for that spice?
2/3 ounces of cinnamon.
Keep going.
6 and a half
Cardamom?
cardamom.
Yep.
2 and a half mayonnaise.
2.5 cumin.
And 1/3 ground cloves.
1/3.
So 2/3 are fine.
Allie's cooked a little bit, huh?
Just a little bit.
What else?
And 2 3/4
Can you guys please check to make sure he's read all those correct?
Yeah.
Okay, Kate, so how would you approach, so first we're going to figure out how much is supposed to be in the spice. So what would you do first, Kate? Okay, so 6 and 2 and 2, 10. Now what? It's true, you can go to 12s. Could you think of something before you go to 12s to take care of some of the fractions? No, like for my example would be like, I notice a half and a half make a whole. So I'm gonna put a hole instead of doing that. Can you find another pair like that? 1/3 and 2/3 make a whole, right? So I'm gonna put that there. So now I've taken care of all of these. So really now, I only have to, do you guys see what I did?
Yeah.
What's left, Kate? What haven't I taken care of? I haven't taken care of this 2/3 and that 3/4. So even though what she was saying is correct, it's a lot more work if she did everything in 12s when you don't really need to. Does that make sense? So now we have the wholes. This is 12. And now we're going to do your common denominator. So what do I have to multiply here by to get 12? 4, right? So this is 8/12 and multiply by what here? Right, 3. So 9/12. So 8 and 9/12, Catherine? 17/12. And how many times does 12 go to 17? So we have 12 plus 1 whole and the remainder? 5/12. So altogether, 11 and, or I subtracted 13 and 5/12. So just to begin the problem, we needed to know that number, didn't we? What?
Well, what I did to get C, to get C is 5/12. You already know that 2/3 is 6/12. So 5/12 minus 6/12 is 10. Or wait,
Okay, the spice should have this much, right?
yeah, sorry.
But Mrs. Who? Garza. She only has 10 and 11/12. So before you tell us what you did, what was the general thing that you did?
Well, I did 112. That means she is missing 3 and 4/12.
So what operation are you using?
Fraction.
I think so, right? So you're taking out 10 and 11/12. Do you agree that that's what he should be doing?
Yes.
Okay, so Wyatt, I'm gonna stop you for a minute because I want to show you what the other class came up with. That really helped him a lot. This makes it so much easier. So Carson, you probably want to pay attention to this too. What the other class did was they said, well, you know, this is really close to what?
11.
Yeah, it's about 11, right?
It's only 1/12 away from it, and 1/12.
And so they just did take away 11 first. That gave them 2 and 5/12. But then they know they took away a little bit too much, right? How much did they take away too much? How much over, Jen? Took away how many extra 12s?
They have 1/12 extra.
They took away 1 too many 12s, so they've got to add it back on. That's pretty smart.
So that's 2.5.
So that's 2 and 6/12. So why is that what you got?
Oh, so it's it's allspice.
2.5. And so if you look at the recipe,
It's allspice.
Where's all
you're on the wrong recipe. It's the cumin. Okay, so let's talk about the method, guys. Do you see what we did? This is, don't start cracking up, okay? So you have 2 different fractions that you're subtracting. Sometimes the idea is to try to think of like ways to do this using logic. So instead of taking 10 and 11/12 away, take 11 wholes away, and then add back that We took away 112 too many. Do you see that? You guys you writing these down? Should be writing them down. Sevi.
Well, this is not really on the map, but are these real?
They are. They're real spices. This is like a curry.
Like spicy, whatever that's called.
I think it's Parisian egg.
Could you actually make that look?
Yeah, I think it's just like a
Oh, this
kind of a cinnamony spice. Maybe you would put in a spice bread.
Sometimes it is like chicken tomato sauce.
If you know.
Okay, time out, guys.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say like you added that.
Let's do one more problem, okay? I think we need to practice another problem. Can we look at D? We can look at D. So it says Ranuka has 2 pounds of pepper in her cupboard. So she has 2 pounds of pepper, and the symbol for pepper is LBS. Yeah, for pounds. Okay, and they also tell you that a pound has how many ounces? Go ahead, what? So that means there must be how many ounces if there's 2 pounds? 32. 32 ounces of pepper, okay? Do you agree with that? So, it's then saying, after she makes one batch of the garam masala, how many ounces of pepper does she have left in her cupboard? Well, how much did she use up in that recipe? So I keep seeing the same couple of people. Casey, why don't you tell me how much pepper's in that recipe? Help them find it, Peter. How much pepper's in this recipe? What's on it? In the garam masala, 2 and, what is it, Catherine? 2 3/4 ounces. So look at the strategy, you guys. You see the recipe? That could be. There are different types of pepper. So look at what I could do. Instead of subtracting 2 3/4, I could subtract 3. So 32 take away 3 is what? 29. Exactly. But I took away too much, didn't I? Hunter, how much extra did I take away? Yeah, because I took away the missing 4th here. So I'm going to add it back in. Do you get that? Yeah. 29 and 1/4. Okay, so tonight for your homework, you're going to work on these problems, and when there's subtraction, stop for a minute. Well, you can report, but I want you to try to think of these logically, okay? And I want you to show your steps like I showed my steps.